Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Thank you so much for watching us live on YouTube and Facebook. Don't forget to go find us on the Twitter and the Instagram. Go like, share, compartir, thumbs up. Tell everyone you know. What else do? You like? Subscribe.
I'm not sure what's going on. You're like
turn on notifications. Do all that stuff.
Speaking in tongues today. I don't know what's happening.
I am trying to tell them what to do, but I do remember now. I need
Don't tell people what to do. That's weird.
Enunciate, because if you watch it, it auto captions the closed captioning.
Right.
What is that called? Closed captioning. Subtitles. And sometimes my words do not come out as I am speaking them. I get new words.
It makes you feel better sometimes when you speak.
It doesn't
Your
even
words
come
still
out.
don't make any sense in the real world either.
Oh well. Okay, I'm eating because that's my habit to eat on the show. But right now, please take a moment to go like, oh, look, it says we're live right now. I'm going to go share that. Oop, there's sound on. That's not cool. I'm going to write a message.
Anyway, you did what?
I'm going to write a message and share.
All right, well, we got a plethora of things today.
We have so much to talk about, so we're going to have to keep it
awesome
moving.
hair going today.
Okay. Well,
I didn't comb my hair. I taught class, and then I pulled a rare move. I fell asleep on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
I don't sleep often, so when I do, it's a lovely commodity to have.
All right.
And so I got up from my rare nap to come do this nonsense.
Yeah. Sorry if I woke you up, but
you did.
The show must go on.
Anyway,
all right, friends. Let's see. We have many things to discuss.
What do you want to talk about?
Yo, we got all this. We can go anywhere you want to go. Maybe we save that for a second.
All right.
You want to talk about this one?
Sure.
All right.
So I got 3 that are all me.
Okay. Well, let's talk about this one. You want to start with that or that one? And then we can reference that.
The recap one.
Okay, let's
That's
recap.
the new one.
I know. That's the old one. That's the new one.
I'm aware. I've seen
Okay.
them.
Okay.
Anyway, the first one then, we're talking about one of the new films that opened this weekend. You about to get punched in the throat.
Don't punch me.
Excuse me, I had to swallow my Melba toast.
Ow!
That was a blind punch. I didn't even look, and I punched a little
That
chubby
hurt.
head of yours. I can see your chubby digits hanging in the air. You don't even have any knuckles.
I do. They're right there.
Where?
Right there.
Look at it. Make a fist. Look at this. There is no knuckle. There's one knuckle that's struggling for life, and then the rest of it's just.
I have little baby hands.
You got little chubby digits. Look at that.
Mm. Even your hands are like all peely and manly. You need some lotion, boo.
No, I don't.
That's not okay.
I'm not looking to have soft, delicate hands. I punch people with them.
I know. You punch people for a living.
I don't go, look at my delicate hands. I go, look at my delicate hand.
Tell us about
Anyway, one of the new films opened this weekend was a sequel to the film Escape Room.
Oh, now I'm going here. You want me to go back?
Well, no, that's fine. Before we talk about the new one, though, I want to dive into the first one. I was hoping for us both to see these because I think it's something that you would enjoy.
Mm-hmm. I've never seen these.
Yeah, she's never seen either one of them
it.
still. But the weekend just kind of got away from us, and we had stuff going on, and I wanted to. We took her out for a delayed birthday because she didn't get to go where she wanted to, like she should for her birthday dinner. So I took her to the proper place this Saturday. So to have time for all that, I went to see the second one myself. And we also didn't have time for her to watch the first one, so that it became that. And we're not those people. If you don't see the first one, you don't get to watch the second one.
Exactly. You watch all of them.
And I won't go see a sequel with her if she hasn't seen the first one.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to anyway.
It ain't going to happen. We know people like that, but we don't do that.
No.
So
that's why we have many marathons that we talk about.
Yes, but we're fixing to have a couple of new ones. I'm so excited already.
Okay. Tell me about this
So
new
the first Escape Room, it's very much the whole film series, or the first one by itself. It's very Saw-like. It's like PG-13 Saw. Not gory and bloody, but in the realm of the traps and the tricks and the twists and things like this. And what made the first one interesting is playing up on the popularity, if you will, of the escape room. So you're, unlike Saw, you go into those things, you're in like
you were kidnapped and put in there.
Yeah, you're kidnapped, but you're also not in a situation where you could just happen to walk into.
Mm-hmm.
Where people willingly pay and go to an escape room.
True. I've done one
So
before.
while that's not what happens in this movie, nobody's paying to go to this escape room. It's like a mysterious invite.
Oh.
And they show up, but they think it's from other people's while they go.
I see.
And then it becomes like a normal thing. It's like, there's little secrets from each person, and do they have a connection and what's going on? But each room, to get out of it, if you don't, you could actually die. So it's not.
This is not a kind of escape room I've been in.
So anyways, you get to the end of the first one. There's the big reveal of kind of who's behind it, or maybe behind it.
Maybe.
Who survives, doesn't survive, who wins the game, does anybody win the game, all that kind of stuff that you expect to happen. It actually ends on a setup for another film, but also a bigger universe, if you will, that makes it a bigger thing than the first film.
Okay.
So it's one of those that you expect a sequel.
So the sequel was not a surprise.
But if they didn't make enough money to make a sequel, then it'd be fine. You can go without it, because it just tells you that it's not over and it's probably going to keep happening, kind of thing, Gotcha. But you would have been. It's very much like you got to make a sequel. Thankfully, the original one only cost like under $20 million.
Oh, okay.
But it made I think it was only cost like $9 million or something. I don't remember. So it's very low, but it made like 150.
Wow.
So it's one of those that's kind of a success, if you will. Actually, hold on, I'll tell you real quick. I think I have it right here.
I was going to look it up too.
Yeah, the original was $9 million budget and made $155 million worldwide. So it was a big hit.
Yeah.
So we had figured a sequel was happening.
Yeah.
So now we jump ahead, which I didn't even know they had started filming the sequel until this first trailer dropped, and I was just like, "Wait, what? It actually is happening?"
That's cool.
And especially with the pandemic and all this other stuff, because this other movie came out in 2019. So with it coming out, the pandemic hitting, you don't expect it, but here we are, 2021.
That's great.
Only a year after that. 2 years, year and a half, 2 years, whatever you want to classify it, would depend on exactly where it falls.
Do we not count pandemic year anymore?
But now we have the new film, Tournament of Champions, Escape Room Tournament of Champions. It does have the return of some characters from the first film.
Okay.
People that made it out, or some that may or may not have had anything to do with the game and show back up, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But this time you're dealing with, and this is not a surprise, this is in the trailer, you're dealing with other people that have apparently won the game before.
Okay.
So it's other people that have been through this crap before. Yes, survivors, if you will.
Okay.
And it's interesting because they're all dealing with some emotional stuff and trauma.
I would be traumatized.
But the main person in the movie, she is obsessed with trying to expose and or stop who's behind all this. Mm-hmm. And that's what leads into this new one.
Gotcha.
So here's the thing is, I actually really, really enjoy these two films. They're not great movies. I think part of my love of them is because it's kind of in the Saw genre-ish. Yeah. I like the cleverness of the rooms, the direction they go. I like some of the twists. This one even has a big reveal that was connected to the first film that you don't expect.
You didn't know?
Yeah, you don't expect, but then it makes something or someone involved in the first thing somehow in a bigger picture, and you're like, wait, what? And then you realize how they're doing some of the stuff. So at the same time, it's not overly surprising. Like the big reveal of that character that shows back up was surprising, but there's another aspect of like something earlier in the film that they show that clearly is designed for them to say, you think about this, but you think all this stuff. And first thing I thought of was like, they're involved. But it's for them to not be that. It's more like saying, why do you think this way? So they could have easily ignored that and not been involved, and then I'd been like, oh, they got me. Mm-hmm. But in fact,
what did you think, just based on the trailers? I don't know anything about the movies, but what did you think about the use of technology versus practical effects? Or are there practical game things?
It's both.
Is it all technology, or is it both?
It's both. It's essentially, it's like going to a real escape room. You're in a room. There's stuff that you have to pick up and look at, and puzzles you got to solve, and things like this. But they use digital technology and stuff for like creating backgrounds, or because it's not a CGI world.
Okay.
You're in a room.
You're in a real.
Yeah, you're like in a real building, going through stuff. Like in the first film, there's a room that suddenly starts heating up, and when you first go into it, like say the pillars, and they have like these designs on the pillars. Well, then you find out those designs on the pillars are basically like an electric burner on a stove, and they start glowing all of a sudden.
Oh, I
and
see.
then as things move on, it gets hotter, and then something else starts heating up, and then something else starts heating up, and then they got to figure out, some of the stuff they have to work together. Some of the stuff, it kind of plays up to that whole mentality of self-preservation versus helping other people on some of it. They also have different reasons these different players have been put together. Sometimes they're all wealthy. Sometimes they're all broken people. Sometimes, and but it's interesting. That you do have to suspend some disbelief.
Yeah.
Because there's some elements that, yes, could be done.
Would that really work?
And you can kind of buy into it because of it talking about the amount of money that's involved in the funding and the background, and they kind of give you a peek behind the curtain more in this one than they did in the first one. Mm-hmm. First one you get a peek, but this one you get even a bigger step. But you do have to kind of be willing to buy into it and just say, okay, they pulled this off. Yeah. Now let's just have fun with it.
Well, and I'm wondering too, this is so random, but just seeing the commercials for it, I feel like in a way Star Trek has become the reality of the background for everything. So like, you remember the holodeck? Because that's how they're making a lot of it. Like when we watch the behind the scenes of Star Wars.
In X-Men, not even just a movie, but in the comic, they had what they called the Danger Room. The Danger Room is where they train, where you turn on and
things would come out. Yeah. So it's weird. It's the same idea, but like, is that weird that our life is becoming?
Not really. I expected. The Jetsons told us this years ago.
Yeah, I know. Jetsons knew that we would be talking. I
still don't have a car that when I get into it and I start it and I drive by and it goes.
No, but there are self-driving cars.
But
this isn't.
But this what's weird.
Sorry, that was a sidetrack.
This isn't that. This isn't something you walk in and then you can turn it off.
Correct.
You walk in
and you're
like
stuck
in the first
in the
one. You're in
room.
They suddenly walk outside and they're out in the snow and the ice. But they were in a building 5 seconds ago, and you're like,
it's just another.
They're really walking through like fake snow, and there's really ice there. Not ice, but in the movie. So it's not like they do this and all of a sudden, oh, this is a hologram. Mm-hmm. These items are really there. Somebody really set up props and
I got you.
Things like
That's what I'm saying. It's a combo. That's interesting.
They use more like digital screens and things like this more to enhance the room itself, the environment they're using, more so than to create
the whole thing.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, thank you for knowing my reference.
No problem.
And if you see it, stuff like we watch the behind the scenes of Mandalorian, like the entire thing is a screen, and I'm like,
more
wow,
people are now using that to film.
This is how we got from Star Trek to here.
They developed that for Mandalorian. Now they're starting to use
crazy.
That on things.
I'm just telling you.
Because now it means actors can now be actually on the set, and sets don't have to be built.
Right, and you don't have to travel to 5 different countries.
And it doesn't look fake. You can because they're actually filming these countries in this place. Somebody
just take a person there,
and films it.
Correct, and then you're done.
So, but I actually like both movies. But again, you do have to buy into it first.
That's fine.
I would love them more if there was a rated R, so they could really push the boundaries. It didn't have to be necessarily gory, but
right.
But anyway, if you like the first one, I think you'll enjoy the second one. Although the second one does step it up a little too much depending on how you look at it. But if you hated the first one, you're going to hate the second one. So don't watch it if you hate the first one. But they work as a continuing story. And then even this last one, they did something smart with the new one. The ending to the new one harkens back to something from the first film. It's actually a regular thing. You kind of get confused because of the way the first film ends.
Yeah.
Why it could even continue because it should have ended it. But they do something with the ending of this movie that was clever because it can serve as a complete ending to the story, or it can be a setup for the next one.
Okay, what did you just continue? I better get caught up. I need to go watch all these. All right. Crazy. So, where would I go find Escape Room? Is it in theaters only?
Yeah, Escape Room Tournament of Champions is in theaters only.
All right. Well, there you go.
But Escape Room, the original, is on Blu-ray and DVD.
All right. Now, where do we go?
Let me do that other real quick.
Which one?
Get it out of the way. That one there. It's next on the picture up there.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about it.
Well, this other one's the only one I watched.
I'm excited because you got this station, and I'm happy for you because it makes you happy.
Well, it's silly. I should have got this a long time ago.
I know.
I kept forgetting. I don't know why I didn't.
Crazy.
So, Well Go USA.
Well Go.
Who, they're like the premier distributor for like Asian cinema, horror films, martial arts films, action films, dramas, all that kind of stuff. They put out a lot of other things as well, but their primary focus is the martial arts
Asian cinema
stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of anyway. They also have a streaming service called Hiya.
Hiya.
HI-YAH exclamation point. And it's only like $5 a month or $3 a month or so. I don't remember, some incredibly too low price to think.
Don't say that.
And it's got all their catalog and a bunch of other older school of like
any martial arts movie you want to find,
almost.
It's on there.
Most, yeah. It doesn't have all of it, but a lot of them.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, this movie's on here? You're like, this
well,
movie's
because
on
some
here?
of that, like, I expected it to be only the catalog of stuff they've released.
It's older.
And it's got a lot of old Sammo Hung and Jackie Chan stuff.
Is that one movie that I like? This one on there?
No, but I believe that one is on Netflix.
Oh, I gotta
You're
watch
talking about
that.
the Flying Guillotine?
Yes, love it.
Or is it Flying Guillotine?
I don't know.
You're talking about the one-armed swordsman one.
We'll have to go find
I
it.
remember. Anyway.
It's so funny because there's just one shot where he rolls back and you can see his hand.
He's doing like a windmill thing on the ground, and he's supposed to have one arm, so he's spinning.
But you can see his arm tied behind his back.
His arm is tied behind
but you know what? He did all that with one arm tied behind his back. So props.
The movie was also made in the 70s.
I couldn't do it anyway.
Give it a break. You can't even keep one leg.
I can't do anything.
Anyway, so one of their latest films they've coming out is a movie called The Emperor's Sword. Now, they don't have a physical release for this yet.
Oh.
Like a lot of times, their movies come to Blu-ray and DVD, and then they hit Hiya or at the same time.
Right.
This time, they decided to do a straight like Hiya exclusive release with a physical release later. I do a lot of work with them, and they sent me an email. They were only sending screeners out to people that they work with regularly that they knew were big fans of the martial arts cinema stuff.
Right.
So obviously.
So your name came up.
Yeah, she immediately. It's funny is I've been having an ongoing discussion with this person, and we've talked about a bunch of other stuff, and we have this ongoing dialogue from like 3 movies back, where we talk about something, and then like she reached out for me for this one, for instance. We were talking about the last time some movie came out. It was kind of very old school, martial arty kind of thing, and
I'm checking to see what she's
just
doing.
laying down.
Okay, I'm suspicious of our dogs.
Martial
They're
arts
quiet.
thing that came out that it was very old school. So she started talking about. I think it was she. Anyway, they started talking about different movies they were looking to watch, and asked if I'd seen such and such, and I suggested, have you seen these? And this was months ago, the last time we talked.
It's funny.
Sent me an email saying, hey, first, and I talked about a movie called Firecracker that we've talked about.
That's one of my favorites.
It's like one of those exploitation martial arts flicks from the 70s or 80s. And they're like, I found Firecracker on Tubi, so we checking that one out. And oh, by the way, we have this movie. Would you like to check it out?
Yes.
And
Yes,
so,
we
of course, I said, yes, I want to watch it. I also said, good luck with that. So now I'm waiting to hear a response from them seeing it. Anyway.
I want to know.
So the Emperor's Sword is exclusive on Hiya, which spawned me to finally go get my subscription. Because I always forget. I had been meaning to for a long time, so I just went ahead and got it. This movie is already on there, so you can check it out now. But it's a it has that old school vibe of those kung fu movies and stuff,
Yeah.
but it is more sword play stuff than it is kicking and punching.
Nice.
Which I'm fine with that. It's a lot of the weaponry stuff. It basically follows this guy this emperor or something, if I remember correctly, that's fixing to be taken over by somebody else. And there's a thing where these kind of, I guess they'd be classified as heroes, but like soldiers or whatever, that came together to guard this sword that kind of, I guess whoever has a sword leads or some crap like that. And they didn't want the sword to get in somebody else's hands. So that's kind of where you're at.
Okay.
So then they have the person who's basically staying around to protect the sword. So the whole movie's about protecting the sword and getting it back to whatever and defending the dynasty and all that kind of crap. It's very old school ideals. So essentially it's filled with tons of sword fights.
Nice.
And, there's some love drama and there's, betrayals and all the stuff when you're dealing with like Chinese dynasties and kingdoms and whatever. I really actually enjoyed the movie a lot. It wasn't as, the action was good. It wasn't as flashy as I guess I thought it might be, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because I do get tired of, as much as I love watching the super fast-paced fights and, all this kind of stuff. This one had some wire work. It had a lot of more meticulous kind of fighting, which to me comes off a little more realistic.
Yeah.
I find it funny that how people will talk about how bad fights are in movies and stuff, but then talk about how much they love Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris, which both of them are amazing martial artists, but neither one of them were visually super impressive. And what I mean by that is, like, they're not Scott Adkins level stuff of flipping and twisting. And, Bruce Lee would kick you in the face or kick Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the face. And you're like, dang, that's good. And it's moved fast. It's crisp. Chuck Norris kind of the same way. This is kind of like that, where it's very impressive martial artists, moving quick, moving things, doing like this, but it's not, everything is not doing backflips. And
correct. It's just practical.
Yeah, and not hitting somebody 35
fighting.
times. Like even Ip Man with Donnie Yen stuff is very rapid fire and crazy stuff, If I had one complaint is they used the slow motion effect too many times.
Oh.
But it was a style thing they were doing. It wasn't just in the fight. Sometimes it might have been just somebody running, somebody jumping, and be like, for drama, and I'm like, I don't need to see this guy tumble down the staircase in slow motion for 30 minutes. But outside of that, I actually really liked it. I thought it was entertaining. It was interesting. It was kind of exactly what I would expect a movie like this to be, if that makes sense. And the poster is badass.
Yeah.
I really dig that poster.
Well, that one's.
It's the same image, but that's the full poster.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. But check out The Emperor's Sword. We do not have a full release date, but if you want to watch it, you have to go subscribe to Hiya. It's worth it if you like martial arts flicks or Asian horror, because there's a lot of those on there. Not Asian horrors. You can't get Asian horrors on Hiya. Asian horror, like scary movies.
We don't call them that. We call them ladies.
What if you want a male?
Working ladies.
Was it a male horror?
Working man.
But the website, I said horror, and me to say
horror.
It wouldn't make any sense for me to go, they have Asian horror on there. Not working men or women. Scary films, because then it defeats the purpose of the joke.
And Asian.
Why are you walking all over my joke?
Asian horror is actually really good.
They don't call them that anymore.
I'm just telling you. I think that's like some of the best stuff. Yeah, especially too when they're not in English, because you don't really know what the heck's going on, even with the subtitles.
Well, here's the thing that I found with most Asian cinema is it has a habit of getting convoluted and all over itself
a little bit.
And then there's two levels. There's the stuff that's like very deep, which it gets convoluted in so many layers that you can't figure out what's going on, or you get lost in what's going on. Then you have the other stuff that they clearly don't even care if they know what's going on themselves. Mm-hmm. They're just doing it for shock factor, or for gore or blood, or how many fights do we have in there. Yeah, and somehow they both work, and there's those ones in the middle that seem to fall apart. So
more than anything, I like.
Hiya is worth checking out. If you want that, you can see most of their catalog that's in there, as well as the latest Emperor's Sword. But be on the look at our website at
HollywoodMatrimony.com
to find out when the Emperor's Sword will hit Blu-ray, DVD, and all the other good, lovely times.
There you go. All right. Where do we want to go now, buddy?
Wherever you say, ma'am.
Well, we got a bunch of good stuff to talk about.
All right.
You want to go here? Do you want to go here?
Why don't we go when you can do the two by themselves, and then we can do the
this
big
one?
Ones. You pick one of those, that one, or that one next to it, either one of those.
Well, we're going to talk about
I know, but I'm saying, let's do that then. So that's be a longer one.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go.
I'm going to go here. So, new on Netflix this week was Fear Street Part 3, 1666. This is the third and final part in a trilogy.
What is it?
Well, this trilogy set, this first trilogy, there could be more. Who knows?
I know.
Oddly based on some R.L. Stine books called Fear Street. These, please note, because there's confusion, he did not write exactly the material we are seeing in the movies.
These are rated R version of his young adult novels.
He wrote some books called Fear Street, probably based on some spooky things, because that's what he did.
Yeah, and I don't know if these stories are, these specific stories are in the books. I just know these are rated R things to his young adult stuff.
He wrote something, Fear Street.
Yeah, and there used to be another Fear Street series, I think, like TV show or something, but it was more of a
spooky.
Yeah, it was more like Goosebumps TV show.
All right, so hopefully you've been watching all three parts. So we started off 3 weeks ago, with Fear Street 1994. I loved it because we were in the 90s. 94 is when I graduated high school, had great music. And it brought us back to a simpler time of horror where you just have a slasher killer and you don't really know why. But do you? So we go into the idea that maybe the town is cursed and that's why. Then last week we had Fear Street 1978, where we go back in time to someone who survived. There's always a survivor, like Sydney in Scream. She's a survivor. We get to 1978, and a lady who's an adult now tells us the story. Back in 1978, my sister and I went to the summer camp. But little did I know, bum, 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 someone would be dead. So we get some history on that. Again, another slasher killer. Really enjoyed it. I liked being in the 70s because I'm a child of the 70s. So I liked the clothes. I liked the music. The whole summer camp mentality is like classic horror, summer camp killer. I mean, yeah, we got one of those. And then we get to this week's movie, 1666, where we go back to the time of witches. Bum, bum, bum. But again, my whole thing with the whole witch thing is a lot of these ladies were probably not even witches. They were just accused. What?
That's the funniest statement.
They probably weren't.
Well, there weren't witches.
Witches do exist.
No, they don't. Not in the tape.
Oh my gosh, babe. Witches totally exist.
Not in the context that you're saying that they exist. There's people that call themselves witches.
No, I think witches exist that could curse towns or people or cause crops to fail.
Yeah, those people, that's what I'm saying. There's people that say, I'm a witch, I'll put a curse on you, and then shit just happens and they think, the witch must have done it.
Well, I believe there are witches and that there are like evil people that can curse things.
Just like vampires exist from the context of who was on Jerry Springer calling themselves vampires and they drink blood, but not actual vampires running around growing fangs and funny-looking eyebrows and sparkling in the night.
We're going to have to do a poll. Do you think witches exist? Yes or no? That'll be a poll on the website shortly or on the Facebook. Babe, witches exist. What? You better pray that one don't come after you.
I've been 47 years without having ever a single concern about a witch coming after me.
I have had concerns of people trying to curse us. I throw things out.
Give me things that I bring back in this house that you think were thrown out because you thought they were cursed.
I throw things away that I believe are cursed. I throw things away from people that I believe are suspicious or have an ulterior motive.
There's a lot of things in this house that aren't in this house anymore that are still here.
Well, I've thrown things away.
I know. I brought a lot of them back.
No, you haven't.
Oh,
not the stuff I've thrown away. Because they were given to me specifically.
I'm not done with that. I'm talking about other things.
Oh, okay.
But you're like, we can't keep that and you throw it away.
Well,
it's like sitting under her pillow.
Lots of stuff that we do get, I pray for anyway, and I bless it. So I believe this whole thing is real, is where we're going with that. But let's get back to 1666. So it's kind of...
Why don't we go back into 1666? I like it now.
The interesting thing about this movie, what I really liked, is they took the characters from the other two films. Did you notice that
the title is 666?
I did. I was going to bring that up.
Oh, I knew that.
No, because there's one person who called upon the devil, the 666. It all works. Mm-hmm. Anyhow, so we go back to the beginning, supposedly, of the curse of the town, and we find out how it all happens. The witch that we think has been causing all these problems for all these years in this town, her story is revealed. And I think what we learn here is people are cray-cray. People are vicious and vindictive, which we knew. And I liked how they used the cast from all the movies now into this one thing to repurpose them and put them in new roles to tell us the story. Your turn, because I've been talking a lot. Because I really loved this movie.
I don't know where we're at. What am I talking about now?
Did you like it?
Oh, the new one?
Yeah.
I liked it. It's my least favorite of the three.
Really?
But it's because I usually get bored with movies about witches. I was like, it wasn't bad. It was good. Don't get me wrong. It was good. It was a good. I like the way they angle. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I'm not saying that. I like the kind of the twist to going back to show how it all started. And it even has elements where it kind of goes back to wrap things up where we left off, and it kind of has a back and forth kind of thing on some elements that I thought was clever. It's a good movie. I think the cast does good. I think the reason it works though is because it's a part of a bigger thing. Had it been a movie by itself that we hadn't had
just
backstory,
about witches,
had they give us this movie without all the other movies that started, this is just a story about these witches. This thing, yeah. I don't think I would have liked it.
Mm.
I think I would have been just bored.
Huh.
But not because it's a boring movie. So don't start taking this as like, oh, it sucks.
No, it's not.
It's good, but it is because it's contingent on the other two movies feeding the story. And as you're watching it, you already have a backstory, so you know, oh, okay, that's why this happened to this, and this is what fed this, and that's what I think makes this one work.
Yeah.
By itself, it doesn't have the same impact to me because it's just another story about witches and somebody being accused of being a witch, and doesn't mean it couldn't be a good story. It's just kind of generic, if you will. But
well, now that I know you're not into witches, it's like, well, yeah.
Why would I be into witches?
Because I find it fascinating. Because
I don't find them fascinating. I just don't find them overly exciting.
Okay, well, because you don't think witches are real, so here we go. Of course not.
I don't think werewolves are real either, but I love werewolves.
Do.
I know, but you're a moron. I know, but you're dumb.
I'm not. I believe it's possible.
She's a dunderhead.
No, I am open to believing that these things can be true.
Yeah, fair enough.
Anywho.
We'll allow your craziness to continue.
What I liked overall about the entire thing. Now talk about the entire thing, okay? Mm-hmm. What I liked about the entire thing, I really liked the main girl. Her name is Kiana Madeira. Yes, Kiana Madeira. She's from Toronto. She's Canadian. Anywho, she was so good throughout this whole series because she has to carry a lot of it as kind of our... Yeah, Flash. I don't know. Throughout the whole thing, but I really enjoyed her, and I enjoyed her brother, and I enjoyed that we still never know the story of that because she appears to be a white lady, and her brother appears to be a black boy, and no one ever brings it up. And you know what? I'm happy they didn't because it doesn't even matter. Yeah, doesn't she?
Oh,
She's Canadian.
Oh, okay. I'm aware of that part.
Babe, I don't know.
No, I thought she was African American.
No, she's well, maybe she is.
She looked more than in the last movie. She looked more ethnic than she did in the first movie.
Well, we will find out, won't we? She's Portuguese, Irish, First Nation, which is Canadian Native Americans, and black. So there you go.
I think the tone in the third movie, because there's more lighting and gray tones, her ethnicity came out more than in the first.
She's a little olive toned,
but yeah.
But I like that we didn't even deal with it. So I like it, and I like that it's not even a thing. I like that we have what seems to be like the creepy, weird creeper dude. Because there's always one of those weird creeper dudes. You got the town drunk that suddenly out of nowhere, like, knows everything.
Town drunk always knows everything because they always see everything.
And I like that we dealt with the issue of back in that time how the whole witch thing again, single, independent, strong women were feared.
Now, if that's what we're classifying as a witch, then I agree.
No, I'm just saying they were singled out because they weren't married, they weren't subservient, they weren't having kids.
Well, and it was also a way of any time if you rejected a man, if you did something to make somebody mad, if you did anything that was remotely out of the norm, then that was the easy way out. It's like, you're a witch.
You're a witch. There's something wrong with you.
You're not of Jesus.
I like that we went with the whole thing they were trying to...
And the whole witch thing is basically the insanity of religion. That's exactly what a witch thing is. Yeah. That's what all that is. It's like, you don't believe in God, you must be of the devil.
Yeah, that's not fair.
The whole Salem witch trials, all that stuff, all of that was religious based.
Yeah.
Because they're crazy people.
Well, and fear. And the whole thing, like, hey, let's see if you float in the water, which is dumb. Let's see if you have a witch's mark. Well, that's dumb too. Some people have birthmarks.
The best, if you ever want to see the best sequence of trying to figure out a witch scenario, is Monty Python in Search for the Holy Grail.
Oh my gosh.
When they're trying to decide, talking about, this woman's a witch. She goes, how do you know she's a witch? Because I said she was. And then they're trying to figure out if she sinks to the bottom or if she floats. And then they start deciding to weigh her because they said she should weigh the same as a duck or whatever, because a duck will float and the mass of its body. And it's hilarious. You've got to watch it.
Anywho. All right. Fear Street Part 3, 1666 was awesome. You need to be watching these movies. If you haven't, that's okay. They're on Netflix.
They're hard to talk about without spoiling it because there's a lot of twists and turns.
Yeah.
But if you haven't watched them yet, then plan to sit down and watch them back to back to back to back. But don't get confused and watch them by the year that's on the title. Watch it by the part, because
Part 1,
it's not like a normal series where the prequel could technically be watched and then you could keep going. These feed in back and forth and need
there's some flashbacks.
If you watch the third one, then you're going to get super confused eventually.
Yeah.
So you need to watch them in order.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
So,
Fear Street.
What I will say I
good.
liked about this is that each of the films took on a different subgenre of the horror.
Correct.
You know, with the first one being kind of a slasher element with some supernatural twist, with the second one going for a slasher element, but with the summer camp stuff, and then the last one taking on like the witches and stuff, but also harkening back to the other stuff. So you get a lot of homage to things like, you know, Halloween and Friday the 13th and even I don't know which movies. I don't know which movies. The Witch.
I don't know. Yeah, I like that we deal
Name
with...
a movie with witches that you like outside of this. Exactly.
The one with what's her name, and then the lady that you don't like.
Everybody knows what you're talking about. And I'm not talking. You can't talk. She's talking about practical magic.
Yes.
That's what she's talking about because she's dummy. That's not even the same thing.
It's a witch movie.
That's not a witch movie. That's a magical comedy.
Okay, well, there's the one where Sarah Michelle Gellar is a witch.
Oh, God. Okay, let's just move on. Now you're...
Anyhow, I just love the movie. We deal with a lot of issues of authority. We're dealing with homosexuality. We're dealing with love. We're dealing with curses, witches, inequality. I mean, we're dealing with so many things in the subtext.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of horror movies really do. I mean, most people are there for slashers and to see boobs because that's what a horror movie's about. But there's always a subtext to it.
That's what I did. That's what I did like about these as a whole is that each of them had their own vibe to them that fed into the next one. And even though each movie stands on its own as its own thing, you can still feel the connection. You know what this reminded me of on the way they use the actresses and all them things? It reminded me of the Ginger Snap series.
Oh, yeah,
because you have
yes.
Ginger Snaps 1 and 2, which is the story of these sisters that are werewolves, or dealing with werewolves and things. And then Ginger Snaps 3 goes back.
About their descendants or whatever.
The same two actresses play the descendants of...
They're the descendants. Sorry, the people.
They play their
ancestors.
Ancestors, thank you. Dealing with the same curse. It was very
Blair Witch. Witches of Eastwick.
You don't even like... You're looking up witch movies. You don't even remember anything. She doesn't remember this. She's looking up things. And you don't like the Blair Witch.
I know. I can't watch it.
Did you watch the new Blair Witch movie?
No, because remake? I didn't see it.
So good.
Was it? Is it still shaky, though? Actually, I did go see Blair Witch with you.
Did you see the second one? You saw the original with me.
Yes, and I had to run out vomiting.
Yeah, but did you see the remake?
I have not. And I'm still confused about why the guy was just standing in the corner.
But you're supposed to be confused. I love that movie.
I'm going to have to try it again. Maybe.
I will say the Blair Witch 2, not so much. That movie's trash. But
I'll try again.
Blair Witch 1 is one of those movies that...
For the time and not knowing what the heck was going on.
It's a great movie. It had brilliant promotions because they were selling it as real found footage. And if you'd gone to their website, there was a whole thing about the investigation and leaked photos and stuff. And then some jerk somewhere leaked that, oh, this is not real. This is just a movie thing they're doing. So it kind of messed up their promotion. But anyway, it is one of those movies that once you've seen it, it doesn't have the same impact. Because that final sequence was like terrifying to people.
Yeah, I still don't understand what happened. Like, why? I'm going to have to go back and watch it one more time. I think because I ran out vomiting, I must have missed something somewhere.
Yeah, if you don't know I've
never watched it again.
If you don't know the vomit story behind Blair Witch.
Oh, and that theater smell.
Blair Witch was also kind of the Kickstarter of the found footage film. Not that it was the first, but it was the one that really made it a genre and made it because it was a movie that cost nothing to make. It was much like Paranormal Activity and ended up making ass loads of money, but not everybody, but a lot of people that were going to see it at the theater were getting motion sickness. And so at that time, if you didn't have the joy of experiencing the theater, you want to talk about a theater experience? That would have been a conversation by itself.
Smelled.
The theaters smelled like vomit.
That stuff that they put at schools.
They put the sand that they put on stains and stuff to absorb it were all over the theater lobbies. You could see people running out of the theaters. That, my friend, is a theater experience.
That was one of them. I made it to the trash can. I didn't make it to the bathroom. I made it to the trash can.
It was awesome. It will go down in one of the most
horrible and
memorable, cool theater experiences.
And I feel like it was worse because I'm remembering we took in
Llewellyn was with us too.
And we took in Taco Bell that day. We brought tacos in.
Because Llewellyn ran out throwing up.
She did too. Oh, it was horrible.
That's so
funny.
funny.
I don't think I've really seen the full thing and got the full experience, so I might have to watch it again.
You watch it? I have it somewhere, I think.
Oh, gosh, I already feel myself getting a headache, like a motion sickness headache.
If you've never seen it,
gosh,
you should watch it.
You need to watch it.
You should watch it strictly because one, outside of the found footage stuff, you'll probably be like, I don't understand what the big deal. Because when you watch it on a small screen, it's not nearly as impactful as the big screen. But also, it's not a scary movie, but it can creep you out and terrify you. But at the time it came out, it was just one of those that you didn't. There's no big idea. Reveal. There's no explanation. Things just happen, and then it's done because the whole thing was sold to be this footage happened to be found of these people that went missing, and they've never been found since. And so there is no backstory to explain it. And if you can watch it, if for no other reason, you should see it because there's so many movies that have either referenced it, stole from it, or made fun of it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
the snot.
Yeah, the snot thing, and there's so many things. This is why it's really important to keep up with older movies because there's a lot of references that today's generation don't get. They laugh because they think it's funny, but they would have no idea what the joke is.
And that's why I'm glad you made me watch a lot of, like, going back and watch, like,
Red Dawn. That was the best. There was an episode of Family Guy, I believe it was, and I made her watch the movie Red Dawn, and
just randomly.
She enjoyed it. But then we're watching Family Guy, and he goes, Wolverine, and she goes, I know that reference. Like anybody else would have thought they were talking about Wolverine.
I was thinking the war movie, too, with Fat Buddy.
Oh, Full Metal Jacket?
Yes. That was sad, but I get a lot of the stuff now.
Yeah, there's so many things that are referenced everything else that people just miss.
Anyways.
All right.
Okay.
I don't know why we went into an entire part.
It doesn't matter, but
check out Fear Street Trilogy.
Netflix.
It's on Netflix now.
Go watch it. All right. Now, do we want to go here or do we want to go here?
I say we do this one because that's going to be another dual conversation.
Okay.
The next one is a movie I've been kind of looking forward to. It's a genre action film, if you will, but it's got a great cast in it. But I didn't know it was a Netflix movie until they finally announced it was hitting Netflix all of a sudden. I'm like, oh, sweet. But it's a movie called... I was trying to act like everything froze. Anyway, I do that sometimes when I'm weird. It's a movie called Gunpowder Milkshake, which... On the surface, the title doesn't make any sense, but when you see the movie, it makes total sense.
There are a lot of milkshakes.
There's a lot of milkshakes and plenty of gunpowder.
Yep.
And the movie has a great cast with Karen Gillan, which I don't know if I'm saying her name right. I always say it wrong. Most people know her as Nebula.
The blue chick.
Nebula from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Gillan.
She's also in Jumanji. She's the girl in the short. Then you have Lena Headey from Game of Thrones. She was also Sarah Connor in the remake of Terminator TV series.
Your girlfriend?
Angela Bassett, Michelle Yeoh, and Carla Gugino.
Gugino.
Who I love.
Your girlfriend.
So it's got a great little cast. Paul Giamatti's in there, which is even better because I love Paul Giamatti. So tell us what the film's about, sister.
So basically the film is about, what do we want to say? There's a lady. She's essentially a cleaner, I guess.
They're essentially assassins.
Assassins. They get called in.
Whatever you want to call them.
They get called in to take out stuff and then to make things disappear, essentially.
So imagine you're watching a movie that's about like assassins and hitmen, and so you take this one. It's a little bit of Jean Rec shoved into a Harry Potter-esque world, but instead of wizards and wizardry, it's assassins and gunneries.
Yeah.
And with a little bit of comedy and action, but also maybe a little Quintino-esque vibe. It's kind of its own animal.
It is, and I really enjoyed it. And I think I was
concerned you weren't going to like it, not because it's not a kind of movie you'd like. It's because she was in a grumpy mood. She goes, just watch it.
Well, I told you I was grumpy, so I feel like I'm doing better at expressing when I'm feeling grumpy. She expressed she was grumpy because I said, you need to stop acting so grumpy. You're being mean. And then she goes, well, I am grumpy. And then she expressed. She didn't express crap before. In nice words why I was grumpy. Anywho.
She expressed anything in nice words. So anyway.
There's several things that I like about it, and they're all quirky. Yeah. So I think you need to know it's a little bit quirky. And it's interesting because when you're in this world, it's like you have no sense of what time period we're in, but we know we're in a modern-ish time period because there's cell phones in a way.
But between the styles and the looks.
But the looks,
yeah,
I
because the cell phones are flip phones.
Yes.
But
then, one of them's not.
Yes, but so it doesn't
necessarily jive.
But there's
it
weaponry
feels a little bit like we're kind of in a comic book in a modern time.
Yeah, it has had a very comic book anime vibe to it.
Yeah, it's either super dark spaces or super bright white spaces.
I also like that it had a very almost cartoony feel, an old Hollywood feel.
Yes,
like elements of like when they're like in a car sequence or driving. It's very clear they're not in an actual car driving; that they're on a set kind of.
It reminded me of
the set. The things behind them is moving more so than probably the car.
What was the movie with but the flip doors going this way? And it's like,
what are you talking about?
The movie. Help me! I think Madonna was in it.
I don't know what you're trying to describe.
Felt old school with the cars where the doors open backwards and he was shooting everybody and.
You're talking about Dick Tracy?
Dick Tracy. Thank you. It felt ish.
I love that of all the people in that movie, you have Al Pacino, you got Warren Beatty.
Warren Beatty. That's who I was trying to think.
People, and you remember Madonna and flipping doors backwards and shooting. None of that is Dick Tracy. And
I don't care.
My stupid brain understands your idiocy.
I love you so much. That's why we're married. Anyhow. But it's all of these things combined, and I dug it so much. I was confused about what time period we're in, but then I'm like, you know what? I don't even care. It doesn't matter.
And there's a lot of, like, long dialogue sequences, which I like. That's the Tarantino side of it that I kind of think, or even Robert Rodriguez side of it, where it's two people having these long conversations, but they're witty, quick banter.
Yes.
Not in the same tone of the way they write, but just the way they execute it. And like some of the characters have very little emotions. Some of them have over emotions, almost to the. Some of them are to that level that's almost bad acting level, but on purpose. Like they're not bad actors and they're not giving bad performance, but you're just like, what's wrong with this person? Because there's a whole sequence of laughing gas.
Yes.
And these guys that are just hysterical. And it's ridiculous, but it fits everything that's going on because they're laughing and they're crying and all things in between. Yeah.
And I liked every single person in this. I mean,
it's also a movie about strong women.
That's what I was going to say. And so don't get all weird. Some of y'all people are going to be like, oh, it's pushing the feminist agenda.
Yeah, it's not so much that either. That's
I actually personally think women probably make really good assassins because you don't expect that.
I don't trust any woman. That's why I expect. If some woman comes on to me, look at this mug.
No,
I immediately think you're either about to kill me, rob me, or something else. Or Chris Hansen's going to come in because look at this.
But I mean, typically assassins or killers or whatever are white men. So sorry.
Did you say they're white men?
They are white men.
I'm not sure. That's the serial killers, yes, but assassins and stuff. I'm not sure that's the same.
It's very rare to have someone who's female.
I'm not sure the statistic for serial killer and the statistic for an assassin hitman is the same thing.
I think it is.
Serial killer, yes, it's usually degenerative white men. I agree with that, but I don't know because I don't really know if there's an official statistic for hitmen and assassins.
Well, I mean, there's either ninjas or there's just white
Japanese,
dudes.
So they're not white men.
They're white dudes then. They're dudes then. At least can we agree they're mostly dudes?
There's female ninja.
I mean, those are Black Widow people. If you get into the women that are assassins, they're Black Widows.
All right, go ahead.
Anyhow, this movie was awesome, you guys. It's so good.
It's a blast.
There's so much shooting up. There's a little bit of blood and guts.
Not shooting up, but shooting up. Not to be confused with the movie Shoot 'Em Up.
And I like the use
of
weapons, and we get a wide variety of weapons, which is funny because you're like, oh, you're using classics. And then they go to modern weapons, and they go to big things. And then I like, who am I thinking? Michelle Yeoh? Yao. Because, man, she gets out there with a chain. She's like chaining people.
How does she do it? Is that how you fight with a chain?
Yeah, and then she got him like this, and she's like. But I like that we use some of her other skill sets versus shooting.
She looks like she came from a different time.
I know.
Her hair, the way her hair is fixed, the way she carries herself.
That's what I'm saying. Even Carla Gugino has like that cool little beehive thing going.
She's like a very
librarian-esque
vibe.
Yeah.
She's very polite, but she's got one of the biggest action sequences.
I'm just telling you, I like the whole vibe of this.
I do too. It's a fun movie. It's another one of those. And when I say John Wick, not just the action, but that it set up this whole world that exists, like the Continental kind of idea.
Yeah, there's a world
that's interesting, and even though yes, some of the elements of why they do what they do is kind of convenient, of what sparks the story, you kind of can buy into it.
Yeah.
There's a kid situation involved too that normally annoys me in these kind of movies. So I'm like, again, but the way they handled it actually worked better.
And then there's
it feeds into the main character's situation
story
as well.
There's a little disbelief of my arm doesn't work thing, that whole sequence, which was funny.
Well,
and
yes and no.
Time.
Yes and no. If the gun part of it, yes. The other part
would happen.
I buy into. My problem with the gun part of it, you're going to be totally confused by my statement here.
It wouldn't have worked.
I don't understand how the finger trigger thing, because I thought they were going to set up something that you could pull it. Please don't do that. That's weird.
No, but let's not.
I know, but you're just sitting here like this on camera.
Sorry.
Or continue.
You're weird. Anyhow.
Yeah, it's one of those movies it's one that you need to experience. But I will say this: it's quirky, it's weird, it's violent. And this is an R-rated one. This is a graphic violent because it's got heads exploding and
I love it.
Bullet bodies,
so
body
good.
Parts, and
there's gunfights, car chases.
Not all the fighting is great. There's a couple of the fight scenes I thought were too choreographed feel, but at the same time, you can kind of let it go because it's just fun to watch. And so that's me getting particular. That's most people probably wouldn't care about. Yeah, it's a fun movie.
It is a really good movie. You need to check it out. Everybody does great performances. I'm not a fan of Lena Headey.
You don't like Lena Headey?
I particularly don't.
Why?
There's something just about her face that bothers me. I don't know. I'm so sorry. I get weird about that stuff.
Is it Game of Thrones or something before that got you?
No, I just
Game of Thrones, she's an asshole.
Yeah, no, I just don't like her for some reason.
Because I liked her until she hit Game of Thrones.
No, I just don't. But I mean, that's okay. She's good in it.
Yeah,
but
she's not in it that much. So.
Yeah, so that worked too.
All right.
I thought it was really good. You can check it out. It's available where?
On the Netflix.
Check it out. Okay, you want to know about serial killers?
Sure.
Okay, so here's the interesting things you need to know. Serial killers data first 11%. The most recent decades, only about 5% of serial killers are women.
I know that.
But statistically, male serial killers are 6 times as likely to just go find a stranger to kill, whereas female serial killers will twice as likely kill someone they already know because they made a man.
I'm aware of all this.
This is why Women Kill, the TV show,
yes,
which your mom loves to watch.
I'm aware
and she told me the other day she brought some knives over to your dad that handed them to him.
Oh, yes.
And he freaked out because he thought it was a Why Women Kill, because your mom watches that show all the time.
I can honestly tell you that I would not be surprised if there was a phone call that happened that my mom snapped. I'd be more surprised that she was able to pull it off and not hurt herself.
She's like, I just wanted him to sharpen my knives.
But she walks at people with knives like this.
Yes.
She does it to me too. The only difference is I'll grab a blade and take some away from somebody. I don't care.
If you notice, I walk around the house like this with it up in the air.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, knife.
I have this lack of fear of blades.
No, because shallow pets hurt.
I know, but like I've actually just grabbed a blade and taken away from people.
You're dumb.
I didn't say I was smart.
I know.
And I've been cut many a time.
Lord.
If you pull a knife on me, you better stab me with it or I'm going to grab it and start punching you in the head.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Next movie.
So the next one is the biggest release and honestly one of the big anticipated one that people were waiting for since 1996, which we're talking about the latest entry into the world of basketball and animation and all around ridiculousness. We're talking about Space Jam: A New Legacy. But before we do that,
yeah,
this nice young lady had never seen the original.
I missed it.
So we decided they just released the original Space Jam on 4K. So we decided why not dive back into 1996? Pretty sure it's 1996. And watch the original so you can see what all the hubbub was about.
It's been 25 years, I believe.
Hello.
Hello.
Ironically, she must stole the show. She's like, stop telling people I'm going to kill your father. So anyway, the original film, if you don't know, It is 96?
96.
The original film, if you don't know, it was Michael Jordan teams up with the Looney Tunes to play basketball to save the world.
There you go.
It's a stupid-ass premise. But
doesn't matter.
it also served as kind of a story celebration of Michael Jordan's life and career. So the whole thing gives you an entire, like, you can watch the movie and you know majority of
that. Yeah, I found out all about his career. I knew nothing about it.
She didn't know he ever played baseball. She didn't know a lot of that stuff.
What did I know? Nothing.
The premise is stupid. It makes little to no sense, but that's not the point. You're wanting to see Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time. I will fight you to argue about that point.
Oh,
you also are getting to see the Looney Tunes join up with Michael Jordan to play against some stupid aliens and ridiculousness. Why they chose basketball makes no sense, but whatever. So with you being someone who didn't see it, I saw this in the theater back in 1996 and have watched it many times over the years. My kids enjoyed this movie as well, so I've been all in with this for a long time. You are seeing it fresh in 2021.
Yeah.
And fresh eyes and no knowledge of anything other than its existence.
Correct.
So what is your thoughts on the first movie?
I really liked this movie. It was so funny. And I'm a huge Looney Tunes fan. So I think that helps.
I'm not.
Maybe that helps me. But I like just, his entry into cartoon world. And we're there. And your classic, with the little critters and they show up and like, what's up, Doc? I mean, you got to have your classic one-liners from Bugs and even your Daffy Duck being dumb. And I mean, all of your characters are there. And I just thought it was hilarious. I was cracking up. I was laughing. I think you were kind of dozing in and out. But I was totally paying attention because I'd never seen it. I didn't even care about someone's like, oh, but the acting's horrible. I don't even care.
Michael Jordan, he is an amazing basketball player. He is not an actor.
He was saying his lines. That's what he needed to do. But you know what? I wasn't there for that. I was there to watch the cartoons play and do their silly stuff that they do and pull out their tricks and, nothing be complete without, somebody trying to blow something up and the Roadrunner go, meet me. I mean, you need all that. So I loved it. I thought it was great. I would watch that one again. Awesome. Love it.
Okay. So then we head into the new one, which has got a lot of mixed bag discussion of leading up to its release. People were excited for it because we've been wanting a Space Jam sequel forever. Everybody at the time wanted a Space Jam sequel with Michael Jordan because that was the thing.
Yeah.
Because it's jumped so many years in advance, 20 plus years, they also decided, let's take one of the more current NBA stars and the king himself, LeBron James, who the difference between LeBron James and Michael Jordan on the big screen is LeBron James has been in some TV shows and some movies and stuff.
Yeah.
As far as performances go, he gives a better acting performance than Michael Jordan.
Correct. It's not just delivering line. You can tell there's some emotion there happening.
But the big dilemma with the new one is the argument of, because they have stepped this game up, in this case, is teaming with the Looney Tunes again, another ridiculous reason to play a basketball game. But this time we're dealing with the internet, we're dealing with technology, we're dealing with video games, and all of it's taking place in the server for Warner Brothers. So the argument has been, this is not really a Space Jam movie, if you will. It's just a commercial for Warner Brothers Archive. Both of these are factual.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about it? That's what we're going to discuss. So diving into this new one, before we go into details, how did you feel about the new one?
I liked it. I mean, I think it's I don't know, go back and forth with it's cool to see all of these characters or movies or whatever represented. And then the other side of that, it's a little bit of overload because there were times where I think I just need to watch it again. There were times where I felt like when we first watched, what's the movie with the bunny cop lady? Just tell me what it is. Zootopia. Where that one you have to watch a couple of times because there's so much happening in the background in addition to your main story. That's how this felt to me.
Yeah.
Like there's so much. I was trying to focus on the game and Bugs and LeBron and his kid and whatever was happening in that story. But then in the background, you're like, oh, there's Scooby-Doo. And it's like, oh, there's the Iron Giant. I'm like, King Kong is here? That's weird. And then I'm thinking, why is this clown here? Why is that guy here? Like, I guess I didn't realize Warner Brothers owns as much as they do.
Yeah.
So for me, it was a little bit of overload to just see layers and layers of characters that while this is happening.
That's one of the big arguments of people that are having, that thinking Warner Brothers shoved all this crap in here just to promote their franchise.
Oh, that's fine. That doesn't.
But you know what? That's what made it work for me.
Okay.
Because I thought it was super entertaining to, while you're watching the game or whatever this, looking through the crowd and seeing all this. Oh my God, look, there's someone. Oh, look.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just current properties. Like, you see things like the Herculoids and Mitor and all the Hanna-Barbera stuff. And then even, one of the arguments I also heard were people complaining about how it's got characters and stuff that are not children programs. Because there's horror.
Yeah.
Like the It Clown, like you were mentioning, and stuff like that in there. But that's because they all live in this server. So by being in this server verse, whatever you want to call it, it makes sense that's who would be there at this game. It's very much like Ready Player One.
Yeah.
Which, shocking turn of events, Warner Brothers put that out as well. And there's people arguing, it's like, well, yeah, but Ready Player One handled it way more smartly than this one did.
There was a lot
it's
of
the
information
same
there.
thing.
Yeah, it's
just done in a different way.
I don't know.
But
I mean,
forgetting that part of it, what did you feel about this time around's game and LeBron and the tunes and their interactions and all that kind of stuff?
I liked it, but I think there was just so much gaming technology that I'm not super aware of that I had to get into really fast because I'm like, what is all this power-ups and super live? And
I don't know these things exist in video games.
I know they exist, but I don't play games.
It's up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, right, whatever.
Start.
The
Konami code. No, but I learned about that this week too. No, I mean, I think there was just so much happening that it's way beyond this, disbelief. Suspending disbelief.
Here's the thing.
It's much more than that.
What
I did like was we got a lot bigger variety of Looney Tunes characters because some of my other favorites showed up this time. Like we got Witchy Poo for one scene. No reason why she's there. Speedy Gonzalez has a lot to say, so that made me happy. We got some classic Wile E. Coyote. I mean, we got a bunch of cool stuff that I really liked. Did you miss Pepe Le Pew at all?
No, because he's a trash character. That's
I did like the first one where they're like, "Take this," and everybody had the mask on.
Here's my thing. There's a controversy. There are a few different things.
Controversy right
there
now?
was a few different controversies related to this movie and characters.
Goodness.
One was the Pepe Le Pew thing, where there was a sequence with him that was cut, but they said it wasn't cut because of the confidence. They said they cut because it just didn't work. But his whole, he was a rapey character to begin with. He was always forcing himself on that cat.
Poor cat.
I thought every Pepe Le Pew cartoon when I was a kid was trash. I'm like, these are not funny; they're stupid. And so I didn't give two craps. He was gone. I don't know if he deserves to be canceled or Me Too'd. I don't think that's reaching a bit.
Cartoon skunk.
Well, that and those two would go on an actual date sometimes, and then he was trying to force himself on her, but I'm like, really? It's not like they weren't making her strong enough to smack him around and
get away.
But somehow it's okay for Tom to try to kill Jerry all the time. So there's that gray area that you look at, but also
all our cartoons were so violent.
I know. Also, there's an argument about the Lola Bunny stuff, how they changed her up for the new movie a little bit. They also got Zendaya to voice her, where a lot of people really wanted Kristen Wiig to come back when she did the other version on the show. But on the TV show that came out a couple years back, she was a crazy person.
She was like
serial killer
stalker
level.
Lady.
Yeah, and so
she was insane.
This one I thought matched
it was funny, but I think this worked better.
I thought this one matched up to the one in the first movie.
I agree.
Even though the voice might be different, I thought it matched up. What was your feelings about the changes of animation?
That didn't bother me. Because they were more 3D-ish.
Well, no,
right?
but remember
looking.
There's both versions are there in the film.
Yeah, cartoon.
So I'm talking about the use of both. How does that make you feel? Like in the original movie, it's just standard 2D animation.
Yeah.
In this one, it's 2D animation, and then it bumps up to the CGI 3D, three-dimensional.
That's fine. I prefer, I guess, in my head, the original, just normal animation. But I get it, because we're in a now video game world, so it's not even like
I was worried
super
going
high
into
def.
it, because I enjoyed this movie. Yes, it's a little over the top. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. It's not any different than the original. I don't care what anybody wants to tell me, then try to say, "Damn, it's a classic," and it's so on. This was just it's the same crap twice. The difference is we're jumping into more modern times, like you mentioned, the video game stuff and things like this. And I like that we get a long time of them as the 2D animation like it's supposed to be, and they're only upgraded to fit into that modern game that they're installed into.
In the server.
And so that I thought was very smart, because I don't think it would have made any sense to have them in their normal animated style in that element. I think it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
The movies essentially, if you want to go by storyline and everything else, with the exception of being a different setting, they're both the same movie.
Yeah, gotta save the world.
And I don't, to the life of me, understand why anybody thinks playing basketball to save anything. How is that a solution?
Gotta save the world.
I don't understand how basketball is going to save the world.
We don't know, babe. We don't play basketball.
I don't understand how playing football, soccer, basketball, golf, any sport like that to save the world the way they're doing it. It's like, it's just, that's what my argument about these movies is. I buy into it because it's fun. Mm-hmm. I think both movies are a blast. I will argue till I'm blue in the face with people that think, because there's a lot of people that have come out and said, I didn't laugh once during this movie. This wasn't entertaining. It was just dumb and this, that. But in the same breath, talking about how great the original movie is. And they're the same thing. Yes, I will listen to your argument about it. You think it'd be a Warner Brothers commercial, because it is. But why the hell would you not capitalize and use that? That just elevates that movie to say, look how awesome all this crap that we have. And, if all the, and it's funny, it's all these nostalgia people that seem to have problems with it because, you raped my childhood, or you ruined my childhood, or you messed up this sequel by making this sequel like it suddenly doesn't exist anymore, or this remake messed it up.
Don't watch it.
Half the things in that audience are stuff those people love. So why would you not be excited to be watching it and see Scooby-Doo like, oh my God, look, oh, there's King Kong, oh, that's hilarious, and that's clever. Like, to me, the amount of time that the artists and the animators and the people, the thought process of who should we put in here, like, they didn't push a button and the literal Warner Brothers archive appeared.
Right.
They meticulously had to make a decision to put those characters there. I applaud them, and I thought that part was awesome. To me, that made the movie better than it might have been otherwise. It would have just felt a rehash, and I think this gave it that extra bump. But I had fun with it. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
I had a good time.
She's surprised she moved the door. Okay.
But this is another one being Warner Brothers. They once again proved that their decision to dual release in theaters and HBO Max is not hurting their box office numbers at all. This one actually knocked Black Widow down and made $31 million this weekend in the theaters. And we don't know what it makes on the HBO Max streaming, which...
That's pretty good.
I think it made actually with 23 from international, so it made about $54 million this weekend. Which again, being pandemic stuff, people still slowly easing back in the theaters.
Love it.
That's pretty well done. I think it cost $150 million to make it, so that's fairly good opening for a movie like this in this kind of time period, especially. And there is, I had a couple people ask me, Michael Jordan's in the movie. I'm going to say yes, but not in the way you think.
Do you have a preference of the first one and second one?
I do, but not because of the quality of movies. I prefer the original because of the nostalgia aspect of it. Because when it came out, it felt like something, even though I know they'd made live action animated stuff before, it felt kind of new and fun and different because of the Michael Jordan thing and the music and the connection to what they did with it. And I think also growing up with it with my kids, I was an adult when it came out, but my kids seeing it and loving it, I've just seen it a lot more.
Yeah.
I'm also not a LeBron James fan because I'm not a basketball fan at all, but I was a Michael Jordan fan. Mm-hmm. Like, I would watch Chicago Bulls games just to watch Michael Jordan play sometimes.
Yeah.
And I would watch all the championship games when they'd come out, playoff games and then the championships. And I would watch anything that Michael Jordan happened to show up doing dunks. And I was obsessed with just Michael Jordan, the man, the basketball player. I didn't care about basketball itself.
Gotcha.
So the original one more for nostalgia purposes. The new one, for all the crap that everybody's arguing about, I love all the crap that's added to it. And the new one is amazingly to look at. It's beautiful, it's vibrant. What about yourself?
I like the first one, I think. I think it's just funnier to me because it doesn't have all the extra stuff to distract me. And I think there's just more of those classic Looney Tunes jokes and gags that I was cracking up through the whole thing.
Well, you do realize that all the stuff that you keep talking about, and that I've mentioned a bunch of times too, that the distractions and all that stuff, that's only the last half of the movie.
I know.
It's not the whole first half of the movie.
I know. I got you. I'm there. But I like the first one.
Fair enough.
But LeBron did better in this one.
I'll allow
LeBron did better.
I'll allow your personal tastes.
Sorry. Not that Michael Jordan and or LeBron James are going to know, but his acting.
Hey, Michael Jordan wasn't a good baseball player either, but he did it.
Yeah. So. You know what? And it don't matter. He's living to Loca.
Yeah, I'm sure he's struggling and worried about our personal opinions in his life.
Yeah. So go check out Space Jam, people.
Yeah, it's in theaters. It's also streaming on HBO Max. Like pretty much all of Warner Brothers stuff, with the exception of Dune. I think it's the only one not going to hit HBO Max.
And that's the one I need to watch.
Well, the original's on there, but the new.
Is it? I need to go watch that.
There was a big fight when it was announced between Dune and I think Godzilla vs. Kong about them showing him on HBO Max. I think they finally decided that it wasn't going to be on HBO Max. But I think
you need to see it on the big screen. It looks like.
But anyway, Space Jam did knock down Black Widow, but have no fear, Black Widow still made another $26 million. It dropped like 67%, which sounds like a lot, which it is, but it's also, I think it's the biggest drop for a Marvel movie in its second weekend, but it's also, Ant-Man and the Wasp and Spider-Man Homecoming dropped like 62%, and that was in normal theater times. Yeah, this is pandemic style times, and it's still, I think it's only made like $264 million worldwide in 10 days on a cost of $200 million. So
they're doing okay.
It's doing fine. So, anyway.
All right. Moving on.
I think that's it then.
All right. Well, that was a lot.
I need to talk about what's coming out next week then.
Yeah.
So next week for Blu-rays and DVDs, there's not a ton coming out. It's a lot of TV series coming out.
Huh.
Gangs of London season 1 is coming out, which I've been looking forward to watch. It's from Gareth Edwards. I believe that's who it is. It's the same person that made The Raid.
Oh, okay.
But it's, I think, more like an English mob. But I'm saying it's very hyper-violent. Star Trek Discovery Season 3 is getting Blu-ray and DVD release. Walking Dead Season 10, which I'm behind. I think I'm way behind. I finished Season 9, but I haven't watched 10 yet, so I need to dive into that. And then also one I'm super excited about because I love these movies, and y'all know that we both love these movies. But Spiral from the Book of Saw is getting the Blu-ray release, and is also getting like a steelbook edition. And now I can watch it and actually hear what they said a little bit better because at the theater. Yeah, it was a little different. So that's pretty much it. That's the big stuff.
Okay, coming out at the theater and or online. So there's a release coming out on Tuesday on Video Demand and Digital. How it ends. It's being billed as a feel-good apocalypse comedy, if you can believe that. So there you go. I don't know. Bradley Whitford, Olivia Wilde, Helen Hunt. I mean, Whitney Cummings. So yeah, it's going to be a crazy thing. Coming out Wednesday. There's a Wednesday release on Netflix of Troll Hunters: Rise of the Titans.
That is if you don't know, the Troll Hunters is a series on Netflix, an animated series from Guillermo del Toro.
Yes.
I think this is like a movie kind of thing. I think
a movie thing to wrap up their trilogy or something. Okay, then Friday releases. The big one I think is going to be the movie called Old. It's the newest. It might be for me. It's the newest in the M. Night Shyamalan.
Shyamalan ding dong.
Series here of films. He's had some hits and misses with some people. I like most of his things.
The only movie that he's ever made that was a miss for me. I don't want to say only. No, I like The Lady in the Water.
Okay.
It doesn't hold up for everybody else, but I like that movie. The Happening is only one that's
the one with the trees,
with the plants. Mark Wahlberg. I like the movie.
It was just such a commentary on the environment. But
now, I guess I could also say that Avatar: The Last Airbender didn't work very good. But
I don't think I even saw that.
I still kind of dig that movie for its ridiculousness.
Who's the one that did the elevator movie?
Devil?
Yeah.
That's him, but he didn't direct that. He wrote the story or came up with it. So there was an idea. There was an idea. Going to the Avengers. No, there was. I'm glad you brought that up because I'm bummed that they never finished it. There was 2 movies. There was Devil. I forgot what the other one came out was. I think they both came out. But there was this whole thing that came out called the Shyamalan Chronicles, and they were all supposed to be ideas that he came up with.
Yes, the other people
filmmakers
did it.
Made. And so Devil was one of those. Devil's great. I like that movie.
How do you spell
Shyamalan ding dong? Right, M Night, and it would come up faster. There it is right there. I'm right. You just had it right in front of you.
I want to get Chronicles. They didn't have.
I don't know whatever happened to that. I think when some of his later films didn't do as well, they kind of abandoned it.
Oh well, doesn't matter.
Because his big comeback ended up being, I think you watched it, the one with the kind of the found footage, just kind of the one with the kids at the grandparents' house, The Visit.
Yes,
Was that found footage? I don't remember.
No, it was just creepy.
That was his big comeback.
They're like, I think there's something wrong with Grandma and Grandpa.
That was one of the first movies that came out that was not really billed as an M. Night Shyamalan
No,
movie.
I didn't even know.
Yeah, because he was not the Sixth Sense but M. Night anymore.
I don't know. I like most of his stuff. Anyway, so the movie Old is where this family goes on a trip to the beach, and suddenly the kid's 6 years old, and suddenly he's 20. So don't know what's going on there. That's for me. The big one for you. The next installment, I guess, in the G.I. Joe
It's really
land.
more of a reboot.
Okay. Yeah. Snake Eyes.
G.I. Joe Origins.
There you go.
So for anybody that doesn't know, and we'll talk about it next week, this is not a continuation of the other two G.I. Joe movies. It's whole
just
new
a new
thing.
G.I. Joe movie.
They're kind of rebooting it. We'll see what happens, but the rebooting with the focus on Snake Eyes.
This is limited release, but that sounds...
The one with Bruce Willis and
Megan Fox, Midnight and the Switchgrass. It's limited release. It may come out near you. Also limited release. Joe Bell.
Yeah, that's the one Mark Wahlberg.
It's Mark Wahlberg walking, it says, in tribute to his gay teenage son, based on a true story.
Yes.
Prime Video release, Jolt. Kate Beckinsale. It's the one where she gets shocked and gets like some superpowers.
Yeah, it almost feels like it's that movie Crank.
Yes, but it's female Crank.
So we'll be talking about Joe Bell and Jolt and Snake Eyes and Old all next week.
Coming out on Netflix. The Last Letter from Your Lover. It's
I really want to
Shailene Woodley, who most of y'all are going to remember from the little chronology, whatever films, whatever those were.
Yeah,
they didn't even finish. They didn't even finish all those, did they?
She's way older than her.
They didn't finish those movies.
Really?
So. Anyhow, Last Letter from Your Lover. This I want to see. We'll see when we can get it. Video Demand and Digital, The Christmas Dance. I have no idea.
That's something we kind of need to watch too.
Do we have it?
I have a screener.
Okay.
This is from the guy that
we need to watch this. Y'all, this movie called Mandibles. It's basically these guys that find a giant fly trapped in the trunk of their car. But they're British, so it's in the boot.
I don't think it's British, but
I don't know. They're in some other place that's not in the U.S., so it's
but
in
it's
the
from
boot.
the director of Rubber.
We should revisit Rubber.
We should.
Rubber was one of my favorite movies. It kind of makes absolutely no sense, but it does.
And it's a movie that has no business working.
It's basically a serial killer tire.
It's art. It's horror art, if you will.
But you can tell when the tire's about to kill because it starts going.
It starts vibrating, and then somebody's head explodes. What is wrong with your dog?
It's so good and so dumb at the same time. Okay, and then there's a movie coming out on Saturday on Netflix, Blood Red Sky. Okay, terrorists on a flight, don't know what's happening, but it's a Saturday release, which is bizarre. So there's movies Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday coming out. There are all sorts of new things for you to watch. So get out there, watch some movies.
All right, and the giveaways. Did you set that up at all?
I do. I have some giveaways we can talk about.
I don't remember if we have any new ones or if the same ones we've had for a while.
I believe it's the same ones from last week.
But I do know there's a few other ones showing up soon. But get on there to our website because we got giveaways. We have Space Jam 4Ks to give away, which is the perfect time for you to get that and then recheck out. Sorry, this dog is going crazy. To recheck out the new one as well as watch the old one. We got the second installment of Meet the Blacks, The House Next Door, which is a parody spoof series. The first was all about the Purge. I don't know what the second one's about yet. I think it's vampires or something. Then you have Wrath of Man with Jason Statham, Guy Ritchie. Then you have Godzilla versus Kong.
I'm being scratched up to death.
Dog.
Oh gosh, I'm being scratched.
Sorry.
I'm being attacked.
Is that all we got so far?
No, hold on.
Oh, sorry. Then we got Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory 4K as well as the Mortal Kombat to give away from the new version of that. So most of those will be ending this week, so you'll get emails. So if you haven't entered right now, you need to go to our website at
HollywoodMatrimony.com. While this dog scratches my legs up to no end.
All of a sudden under the table.
Ow!
It's attacking the other dog, and now it's attacking her.
Ow! Come here.
So we're gonna call it a wrap, so we can be done. Oh, here we go.
Here it is. Here's
now you know that we're not just weirdos. There's really a creature under there. We're not just making up weird stuff and having guests.
Oh, this show is so professional. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Oh my goodness, little girl. She's biting.
You're a mess.
Check us out on the website, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Go search Hollywood Matrimony. We'll be there. Thank you so much.
LinkedIn? We're
I
not
don't
on
know.
LinkedIn.
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook,
We're not,
YouTube.
go to Hollywood Matrimony on LinkedIn and you'll never find us.
This dog is killing me.
Would you stop?
Bye. We need to get this.